Fair enough. Cool.
Well,
Well,
Pat,
thanks for joining
welcome
us.
to Little Podcast That Could. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So it's the grind now. This is interesting. There's a correlation between what you're doing with the music and what I'm doing, and I guess kind of Mandy as well, in that you're rebranding. You're going from, we all know you from Stereos, of course, like Juno Award winning, like fucking crushing band. And now you're rebranding and maybe talk about like how hard that is despite that people know who you are.
Yeah, it's both. So it's funny because I've said this a few times, but the irony of the last year and a half of my life, where I've gone solo, rebranded, all those things, is the biggest thing I have learned is the importance of a team. And so, I'm going out there doing my own thing and finally calling all my own shots and everything like that. But if it weren't for people along the way, and just in the last year, I've been so lucky, who get on board with it and help it kind of move along, it's almost impossible. And part of the biggest thing that has helped push me is the history with Stereos, to be completely honest. And so um, I will always love that band and have respect for it. And we're not like done. We still play festivals and stuff like that. But the fact that a lot of the eyeballs I get on Delta Suite is because of my history with Stereos. I will always owe that band, a debt of gratitude for just moving the needle, for lack of a better term.
Sure. I mean, that band kicked the door open for what you're doing right now.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
Right.
Sweet.
And how difficult or how easy is it to transition from the this to a new style in music? Does that come naturally to you, or tell us a little bit about that change?
Yeah. So I've been writing and recording country music since 2011. So this is, 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up my math. I'm not good at math. Yeah. 14 years in the making here.
There will be a test at the end,
yeah.
so be ready.
Yeah, so it's been a long time that I've wanted to do something in the genre, and I'm, like most things in life, at the time you want it, it doesn't happen. And now in retrospect, I'm very thankful it didn't happen. I don't think I would have had the identity and the songs and just the branding around what I want to do. And a lot of people get uncomfortable when you say branding, as though you're making yourself a product. What are your intentions? Are you just trying to, make money? But to me, whether like when it goes back to day one, what got me into music were bands that looked as cool as they sounded. And honestly, sometimes I'd like bands that look cooler than other bands that were better than them because they looked cooler. And that I'll just be fully transparent about. And so everything I've done has required a certain amount of forethought on what's it going to look like, just as much as what it's going to sound like. So this is a very long way of answering your question, but it has been very difficult, but it is so, I get just as excited to figure out that side of things as the music, that difficult is not a bad thing for me. And I've been doing this long enough to know that people call it the struggle or whatever it is, the grind. I do, for whatever reason, thank God, I enjoy it so much. So yeah, this year's been very challenging, but it's been one of the most fulfilling as well.
What's the wheelhouse for you? Like, we know that Stereos is pretty poppy, it's punky, it's rock, right? And now it's, more Americana, maybe country. Like, is there one that you prefer over the other, and does one come more easily than the other?
No. And the reason why is because I still write the exact same way. For whatever reason, I can go back to being 6 years old and remembering singing my own vocal melodies over the radio.
Nice.
So like, writing melodies, they're there, whether I like it or not. And that's, so my writing process hasn't changed. What has changed is country absolutely challenges you for every word kind of fitting a piece of the puzzle. You can write a lot more like nebulous, fake deep stuff in pop because it doesn't really, it's just a different, I would say, like, your demographic is so much different, but like country,
you're talking to moms and older people with country. You're talking to kids, with pop, right?
Right.
Exactly that. And so I do think that country challenges me more lyrically. I will say that. And but other than that, to be honest with you, it's just a gibberish vocal melody over a chord progression is how I start every single song, and will start every single song till I'm done doing this, for sure.
Right. Well, it seems to be working for you so far. Can you tell us a little bit about what were those early musical influences that you had back when you were like 5, 6 years old and you were singing over the radio? What kind of stuff would it be?
So I remember two songs specifically I was obsessed with, and this is I think right around the time where you could uh, you'd tape off the radio, and then so I would have it, and then they'd give me headphones because I wanted to hear the same thing over and over. One was Fine Young Cannibals, She Drives Me
Ah,
Crazy.
yeah, good song.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then In Excess, they had a song called Devil Inside, and
Hmm.
I know that I was, and Need You Tonight was another In Excess one. Um, Billy Ocean, is it? Get out
Get
of my
out
dreams.
of my
Oh,
dreams.
Oh,
Get
I was
into my car.
yeah.
God.
Get in the back seat, baby, though.
yeah, and honestly,
Oh, that's
like these
great.
are all songs that hold up today. Like I
Yeah.
will still listen to, and those are three that, again, these are some of my earliest memories. So now it's kind of relying on my parents to tell me what they were. But I do remember just being obsessed with those songs, and yeah, I wanted to hear them over and over and over again.
That's great.
It's funny how songs like that from your childhood kind of stick with you, throughout your whole life. Like I remember those songs too, and yeah, they were crazy popular. They were on the radio all the time, but it's just something about them. You just don't stop liking them, right?
100%. I think there's, it's a cliche thing. A guy, my age, you hit 40, and I think every guy who's been my age in history thinks that when they grew up was the best time. So
Hmm.
I'm self-aware enough to know that we all feel this way, but I look back and I think I'm just at a stage in my life where like nostalgia is just so huge, whether it be music or movies or, it's just this, I think, yeah, stage we all go through where it's just like, man, that was the best time. And
Hmm.
so the music is obviously a huge part of that, where I'm just, anything I hear from my childhood, it hits different, for sure.
What was your first concert?
Oh man, I love this because it's the least legit answer of all time because everyone has such a cool answer. Mine was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles concert tour,
Okay.
Wow.
and I remember I was just as excited, maybe not, maybe more about these giant like green turtle head popsicles they were selling, and I needed one, and I probably had a meltdown to get one. But that was my first concert,
That's great. So what, they
and
came out like in TMNT gear, outfits, and they sang.
yep, and probably dance
Oh
routines.
no.
I mean, this would have been, obviously I have almost no recollection of it, so I would have been maybe five, dudes. This is like, yeah,
Yeah,
1990, whatever
Right.
technology they had at the time to pull off a concert tour. It's
that's
hilarious.
amazing. I was not expecting that. That's the
No,
answer.
most people don't. I
No.
think my first real concert was oh my goodness, there's this Jan Arden song, and it was "I Would Die for You," and I was obsessed. And she was opening for Bruce Cockburn, and my dad was obsessed with Bruce Cockburn, and he took me to that concert. Jan Arden, Bruce Cockburn. That was a very early one. Might have been my first real concert. Sorry,
Like that,
Turtles.
you actually
Yeah.
remember the
I
concert
do.
fully, and
Yeah,
yeah. So
we were in Banff, Alberta, gorgeous town, and it was, yeah, I was there for the opener. It's so funny, even that young, there for
right,
the
and how
opener.
good is Jan Arden though? Because it goes beyond the
Right.
music with her. Like she tells stories unlike
Yeah,
anybody else. One of the most prolific storytellers of Canadian music.
And I mean,
100%.
Bruce Cockburn too. Like that's a
Yeah,
crazy, legendary Canadian lineup that you saw there. Aside from the
100%.
Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, yeah.
And back then there was like this magic where much music could help this, but like I don't think a lot of people really understood the difference between an artist who was big in Canada versus globally. So to us they were rock stars, right?
Right.
Because you'd see them on TV, and I think back then it was a lot easier for Canadian artists, even into the 2010s, to be given this like huge platform of rock stardom where Canadian fans could also really get behind it. So yeah, at that time it was just two of the biggest artists I knew. you know.
Hmm.
it's something
Hmm.
about, like, Mandy and I have talked about this many times. In fact, we just talked to Glass Tiger singer Alan Frew about this, about how music videos were so huge. Like, maybe talk a little bit about that. I know that you've done some stuff with your with the Delta Suite, but maybe talk about the stereos, because that goes back a little bit further.
Yeah.
And like, did you feel like when you're making these videos, like, fuck, we've made it, boys?
Yeah, dude. We so we were I'm so thankful for the time that Stereos was successful, because 10 years earlier, if we had come out 10 years earlier, we would never have to work again. I'll be honest. Um, with that said, I don't know how good it would have been for our health.
Your livers.
But if we
Yeah.
were 10 years later, so right now, we never would have made any money. It's, like it's really tough. So we were in this interesting spot where your question about music videos, dude, we did like hundreds of $1,000 music videos. We were in
What?
Miami in these mansions and on yachts and stuff like that, doing the
Wow.
craziest music. They're hilarious to watch. Going to Cuba and spending a week there in Havana doing this like old 50s like car, like crazy videos, dude. Unbelievable. And
So
so
cool.
at the time we didn't know any better. Now you look back and like, did we really want to owe that money back to the label and recoup? I don't know. But I'm
Right,
so glad
right.
I did it. And then now you're right. It's like trying to call in favors, and I feel bad because I would say the people who make videos, especially on a smaller scale, are more talented than they've ever been. But the money and the return on investment is so tough. So now they're having to make music videos and include photography, include content for your TikToks and your all these things in
Yeah.
a way smaller budget.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but
it
today
just
though, like
well,
you
there you
can
go. So a
you can
lot of
rock
that
that and make a pretty rad video on an iPhone.
you can. Yeah. And I mean, it's so I'm thankful I did it in that time, but now videos, they're they're interesting to show who you are, because I think that that's what the fan sometimes they just want to meet you more than they want to see the live show, to be completely honest.
Mm.
And you
Hmm.
can, as an artist, be butthurt about that, or you can recognize that, I want to be someone that kind of checks all the boxes to stand out as an artist. So
Hmm.
yeah, videos are important to show who you are, but also the being able to justify the cost is becoming less and less possible, especially when you start getting, you get a manager, you get people on your team who are wondering why you're spending all this money on different things. And I think as an artist, we all love making music videos. So
Yeah.
still love it,
Right.
but you just got to be smart about
Well,
how you do it.
the same thing can kind of be said about making like a full album as opposed to just singles too, right? Like I think it's more and more
100%.
you're starting to see that, unfortunately.
Yep. You're so right. I miss that. And whether it be, the body of work of an album, listening to, man, I remember choosing like the track listing, what song comes after what is such a fun part about being an artist.
Sure.
And
It's huge.
it's almost a waste of your songs to release them all at once now. And then the other side, we're not even talking about the physical side, man. I used to lock myself in my room and read every lyric, read who the band would
Line
thank
for
if I
line. Where did they record it? Who
Right.
worked on it?
All of
Like
it.
all
bingo,
that
dude.
shit.
What is a producer? That's how I learned what a producer was. And it was just
Right.
like, um, that is a magic that, again, I know, men, men have been saying this for years and years. It was my day, and I get it. It's just
Yeah.
different. But
Hmm.
I do think that they miss out on like people nowadays and how they consume art, especially when it comes to music. It's missing a magic that we had. And
Yeah.
so I'm very thankful we had it.
Yeah, you miss out, like you say, on that whole experience that we had when we were kids, like getting all those things that you just said. It seems to have been replaced, but not in a better way with social media right now. And you do a good job on all of your platforms of being out there all the time. And Todd and I talk about this a lot of time, the times about, certain profiles and stuff. Can you tell us how you get such good success with your posts and, accumulating followers? What is the main ingredient for social media for a musician?
Mm.
Yeah, it's the easiest and the hardest thing, and it is to
Mm,
just be yourself. And
right.
that sounds obviously very hollow and cliche, but for me, it was exactly that. So when I first started getting on TikTok, it would just I hope I've deleted the first ones because it was all like the trends and like the little dances and stuff.
Yeah,
Terrible,
yeah.
terrible, terrible. But for me, I hear just as often, I love what you're doing with this project as well, I'll listen. I'll scratch that. I hear way more often, I love what you're doing than I hear I love your songs.
Mm.
And
Right.
so, one of those things, as an artist, you could pout about that and be like, "What my songs?" Or I could realize what that means, and I think I know what it means. And I think it's that I've found a way, for better, for worse, to just be me. And so, when it comes to country music, doing TikToks about, how all these artists grew up poor, they worked 3 jobs just to get their first record deal. They lived in a shack with a family of 15, and then it's me who cried about not getting the right skates in junior hockey and locking myself in a room. I am not a cowboy. And if I were to try and present myself as one, that would be very disingenuous. It doesn't mean though that I'm not a musician who takes it seriously. I'm 100% an Alberta boy. And then that's what I am as a country artist. And that's what I sing about. And I think just feeling comfortable, being self-deprecating, and also just telling my story in a very real way is the best way to go about it, where you don't have to pretend to be more successful than you are. I have a day job, and I'm not trying to, because social media, whether you're an artist or not, it gets very exhausting, and you can get in trouble if every single day you're trying to put something out there that's not real, right? Because you're just
Right.
trying to keep up with it. And at the end of the day, you know what's real and what's not. And so just being myself has been the thing that I think has gotten me, the most eyeballs on this project. And, I won't lie, it's a lot of, hey, remember this band? Well, I'm doing this now.
Mm.
And it's, you'll get, thank God people have been more positive about it than negative. But I also know what I'm doing. And it's going to create some people being like, not being into the Switch. But that just increases the engagement, gets more eyeballs on it.
Yeah.
And I have thick enough skin that I can deal with all that as well. That's another side of it. You got to be
Yeah.
okay. If you want it to be successful, if you want it to move the needle, you're going to get some people who aren't feeling it,
Right.
and you just have to be able to take that.
You just got to
Mm-hmm.
embrace the chirps,
You
embrace it.
do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
do.
Yeah.
Thank God I grew up
they're
playing
coming.
hockey. Like I actually love a good chirp. I love a good chirp. If it's funny,
Yeah, same.
I'm all about it.
Yeah. And so who are the country, like, is it the ones you would expect that you kind of look up to in country? Like, is it Morgan Wallen? Is it those guys? Like,
I respect his songs. I would say for me, it's all about, again, I'm big on stories. I think Dwight Yoakam is my favorite. And
mm,
like I just like that he was
and a good actor,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
like
amazing actor.
surprisingly good actor.
Yeah, for
Sling
sure.
Blade, he's really good at being a jerk.
Acting, of
Uh,
course, because I'm sure he's not a jerk in real life.
no, in fact, I've heard he is not. I've never met the guy, but I've heard firsthand that
Yeah.
he is a great guy.
But yeah, Dwight
Um,
tells great stories, right?
he does, and the guy, he started in Bakersfield, California, and he wasn't country enough, so he started playing with punk bands in LA. And that is just the coolest, most legit thing. And also, when I started actually starting bands and playing music, it was all in the punk rock scene too. And so, um, I just think his songs are second to none in my opinion. But I also think he's what I talked about earlier. He has this look and this vibe
Mm.
that is just cool, for lack of a better term. That I don't know many people doing it better than that.
Right.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you talked little bit about being authentic and being your true self, but also having this vibe. So, is there ever a time when you feel like, well, I'm kind of slipping out of the character that is me, even though, does that make any sense? Like we think that we see Dwight Yoakam in this certain way, but if Dwight Yoakam were to take off his cowboy hat and sing, would it be the same? So do you have those kind of considerations too about your persona that you're creating?
I think it's a matter of being able to know what works when. I think that if I were to be the same guy talking to you two as I am on stage, it would be a disservice to, what we're doing here and talking like, human beings.
Right.
And absolutely, I'm a different guy on stage. And I think that's important. I actually read a very good book. If there's any artists listening nowadays, I've been lucky enough that I don't get nervous on stage, but of course I have the, I don't even know what you would call it. There's
It's
a
like
hill
nervous energy, right? You're like
nervous
fired up to
energy
get on for sure.
Right.
that exists.
Yeah.
And I read a book a couple years ago called The Alter Ego Effect. And this guy, most of it is, so it's a concept that we all know about, but we don't know about. So when Kobe Bryant's The Black Mamba, or Beyonce's Sasha Fierce, and all these things, it's like it's very, very prominent in sports. And it's just this different persona or attitude or energy that comes out in your field of play. And that could be your field of play could be at work. So it's applicable to anyone in any facet. And this book was amazing because it sort of touched on what I already did but didn't know I was doing, and makes it more of a process. And I'm not gonna lie, like I'm still very much myself on stage. I'm not
Mm.
like, I wouldn't say it's an alter ego, but I think it's a different version of myself that I have learned when to turn on and off. And it's almost always just when I'm performing on stage. Cause I think that,
Right.
I mean, you want to be real with the people around you as
Mm-hmm.
much as possible, for sure.
And is that what Delta Suite is? Is that this kind of
Yeah.
alter ego, not alter ego? Tell us a little bit about that name and why you chose it.
Yeah, I think it's become that. I think so. I read the alter ego effect before Delta Suite was a thing, but I think that it's definitely become that. And so for me, the name is one of my favorites. When I was getting into country, I wanted to know my stuff. It is a genre that commands respect, and rightfully so, in my opinion. And I just wanted to know what I was talking about, like, and some of the things that I'd never known. And so I watched the Ken Burns documentary on country music. It's like 8 hours of information. I have to rewatch it, I'm sure, but they get to this point of country music with women in country, and they touch on this artist. Her name was Bobby Gentry in the 60s, I want to say. And they talk about this like gothic, southern gothic country song she had, and then they move on really quickly. And at the moment, I was like, I need to know more about her. Like something stood out. And so I kind of looked into her history, and she's so interesting. She was the first woman to produce and write her own songs. And then she kind of got some success and then fell off the face of the earth, like to the point where people like didn't know where she was living. And she had an album, and it was called The Delta Suite with an E, and I think it means like Southern Belle. And then I just was, Delta Suite, it like stuck out as a very cool thing, and I started Googling. I've said this before in other interviews, but as an artist, when you Google something and it doesn't exist, and you're looking for a band name or artist name, it is one of the most exhilarating feelings you can have. So when spelled my way, when I put it out there and it didn't exist, it was either that or first name, last name, which country does a lot. And for me, whatever, I like to zig a little bit when other people zag, and I'm going with Delta Suite, and it's
Nice.
shout out to Bobby Gentry.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool story.
How much did COVID fuck with your world?
Hey man, it's like I said before, big time, and in one of the biggest, most, oh my goodness, inadvertent blessings in my life. There's good and bad, and there's real. Like I was married, and I think a lot of people who were in relationships at that time, a lot of people kind of were like, are we doing what we want here? Like it was a very necessary reset. I was not doing music at all, really.
Mm.
And so,
Wow.
as still love that girl to this day. We're very good friends, but we both decided like I had to do music, and music is inherently a lot of ups and downs and not knowing what you're doing. So it's sort of the opposite of settling down, especially when you're trying to restart things. And so I decided to go full time back into music, and I was going full time back into music for Stereos. And so those 2 years where you wanted to do so much and push and start going forward, but you really couldn't, were so necessary, because as I started pushing the Stereos thing, it was 2 years of trying to do that and realizing it just kind of wasn't happening. And so, again, very long way of answering your question. I apologize, but it
No,
gave me the opportunity to see, listen, man, I'm not getting any younger. I want to do it. And how do I want it to look? And I realized that I'd never done anything solo in my 20 plus years of doing music. 25, dude.
Wow.
Going back to my first bands,
Mhm.
I've never been a solo artist, and I knew that it was an itch I needed to scratch. And so, it was one of those lessons I didn't want to learn at the time. I never would have signed up to learn that lesson and go through, what those years looked like, but I'm immeasurably thankful for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sometimes better things come out of hard times. So there's that too, and it sounds like that's working for you. But Pat, you're also very accomplished with all of your experience as well. Multi-platinum, Juno nominated, all of those things. How can you take this success that you have here in Canada, and how does one transfer that internationally or become known more internationally?
The $1 million
The
question.
million-dollar
Bingo.
question.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and listen, this is where my self-awareness is going to come in. If I had that answer,
You would be doing it.
yeah, I think that, so Stereos was put in a very good position to do that. We had 5 different international deals. Some happened, it was just a single here. We were on Island Def Jam. We've done a
Mhm.
private showcase for Akon to sign to Con Live. And so we've
Oh, wow.
had, yeah, and oh my goodness, one of
Wow.
the, I've had, so and a lot of people don't know this. We had like our whole second album, we worked with Interscope in the States, and it's all about breaking the US, and it just didn't hit. And it was, so there is something there. Now, whether it's the States, whether it's Australia, whether it's Europe, breaking in a different territory is not the only way to do this long term, but it is your best shot, because of the fact that Stereos was one of the lucky ones. And we only lasted for 3 years, really 3 years, in terms of like our initial run.
Hmm.
We're lucky enough that we have songs that we're of an era where people, you know, now we're this legacy, we're this throwback, so people still want to hear it, and we're so lucky. But being one of the lucky ones and only getting 3 years sort of indicates like
Mm.
how hard that is.
Right.
We were wanting to just be a band in a van touring, you know, maybe playing Warp Tour every year. And so because of the TV show with Getting On Much Music and then it becoming this huge boom, we were able to do it bigger than we ever thought was even possible. And so I have no regrets about that, but that,
Sure.
you know, almost no one gets to that stage and even
For
fewer
sure.
gets to the stage above us. And I've still never done it. I think that, you know, I still think songs matter. And so that is the best way to do it. But unfortunately nowadays you gotta unfortunately, you know, you got to go outside your comfort zone. I don't think like I've heard of people working with new artists who say, I don't want to do TikTok. Buddy, you can't afford to not do TikTok. And it'll be a
Right.
great day when you can shut off TikTok because you're killing it so much and you're getting
Yeah.
dollar guarantees. But like, you got to do it. You
Learn the
got to do it.
dances.
I don't
Learn
want
them.
it better. Yeah, exactly. There you go. But sorry, I wish I had that answer, Manny, and
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
still,
was just curious on your thoughts about that, and I'm not diminishing your success at all. I'm
ooh,
just curious about how one goes about breaking into the international market. But I guess it's different for everyone too, right? And it's not to say that not experiencing success in just one country isn't success in and of itself. So
oh
is
no, you're
that,
so right.
yeah,
Actually, you know what? This is an analogy I've used before, but I think it applies to this question. Is trying to win in the music industry is like trying to win the lottery. You
right,
want as many tickets as you can get give you the best chance of winning. So a ticket can be knowing the right people. It can be being nice to everyone. It can be having a great voice, great songs, staying in shape, being good looking. Each ticket gives you a chance at winning.
mm,
However, you're still probably going to lose. Do you want to do it? And the other side of the thing is you can have only one ticket and win. That's how the lottery works.
that's
So
right,
that one ticket could be like, you know, a guy who works in LA at Interscope, and that's enough. You're not a great singer. You're not that, but you know the right person, and that's the winning ticket to get that. And you get success in the States, or at least you get a big advance from an American label, while a Canadian artist who has 10 tickets doesn't get it. It can work that way. And there's no
yeah.
HR department. You can't say, I've been doing this 10 years. I deserve my shot
It's
today. It
not fair.
doesn't work that way.
That's a
Yeah.
great analogy. Yeah.
I think it works, man. It's, you know, I've been lucky enough to win sometimes and look back and think, you know, this is what got me to win. And then I've done the exact same things, replicated, and had years of nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. Dude, you've
I
had some
hear you.
Willy Wonka moments, let's be honest. You've had
Bingo.
Yeah, yeah, for
100%.
sure.
And like I said, I hope you can tell that uh, I am like, despite the fact that, you know, I still think I'm in this position where I have, you know, 10 tough days for every one day that's like a win. You get something that day, but I am not anything but thankful. I do consider myself one of the lucky ones.
yeah.
You know, I'm grateful for everything I've been able to do. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And looking back on your Willy Wonka moments, as we're calling them, what is one that sticks out for you as just, the best or the craziest Willy Wonka moment that you've had?
Oh my goodness. You know, I got to go back to the first summer of Stereo. So we were on the reality show. It was literally an overnight success where we played to 4 people downtown Toronto the night the episode aired. And then the next day we were being asked to leave Walmart because they couldn't. This is real. Like they're like, we don't have security for the people trying to get photos. Like,
No
can you guys?
way.
So it was overnight in that sense. And a lot of those initial moments, I'll tell you one, and it was, we played Bud Stage in Toronto. It's one of the biggest stages in Canada.
Hmm.
And we were opening for Katy Perry. And this
Wow.
is within a month of us being, so we had one song people knew. And we were walking to our van behind the stage, and some kids came to the fence and were like, can we get photos? Can we get autographs? And we were always, again, punk rock kids. You say yes to every single fan. That was our, you know,
Mhm.
we always wanted to do that. So we go to the fence and start taking photos. And then that group got so big that they then had to bring security over and have a lineup of people coming in to get photos with us. And we realized these people are all missing Katy Perry's set right now. The headliner, the person who they're here to see. And that would be a moment where by the end of her set, there were still people lined up to take photos with us
No
who,
way.
like, you know, that's one of those moments that in the moment I was like, this is so cool. I do think that unfortunately, because we had been so driven to get there. There's a lot of moments I look back on where I'm like, that is insane that we did that. But in the moment, I'll be completely honest, I didn't really appreciate it because I felt like I belonged there, which is
Yeah.
just being honest. I think it's kind of, it sounds maybe like an ego thing, but it helped me never kind of feel like the moment was too big, which I'm thankful for.
I don't know that that's an ego thing. I think I agree with you. Like once you're at that level and you're playing these festivals or you're playing a big arena or whatever, like why shouldn't people want to have, some time with you and get an autograph and a picture and all that? Like that's legit. That's
It was,
where you
yeah.
are.
Hey man, it's just so, cause I remember what that's like, staying hours after a
Yeah.
show to try and meet the singer or
Yeah.
whatever. And, to have been that band or had that moment is so special for
Yeah.
sure.
Right. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying about part of what contributes to your success is obviously having the fans like you. So, I mean, if you're out there engaging with them, signing autographs, taking pictures, that's huge, right? That's, like
That's a
you said,
couple of
better
Wonka
than being
tickets
seen.
right there.
Yeah,
That's what that is.
exactly. That's a lot of Wonka tickets for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, you got nothing without them. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And every artist should say that. I hope they do, but it's the truth. You need people to like it
Yeah.
for sure.
Pat, you grew up in Alberta your whole life?
Yep. St. Albert, Alberta.
Are you a big sports guy? Are you watching your Edmonton Oilers? Who's your team?
I'm the most insane Oiler fan.
Okay.
It's like, we're crazy, dude.
So
And I
picture this. Picture somebody other than Skinner. And imagine how you guys would be doing. Not to rub it in, but just saying.
No. Listen. I've wanted Stu Skinner to work for years now.
Same.
I think it's difficult because he gets these pockets, and those pockets end up being in the playoffs where he's unbelievable. The defense is terrible this year. I don't know how to fix it. I will say this. I am very thankful that music is starting to really pick up for me right now, at a point where this year feels like it's going to be a tough one. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'm
As a Canuck fan, I feel that. I feel that right here. Like, yeah.
Yes.
Rough.
I cannot stand the Canucks, and I think in a way that is healthy. Like I have a respect for them. It's kind of like they've replaced Calgary for me because we hate Calgary, but
yes, we all hate
they're not
Calgary.
really competitive right now. So
yeah,
sports makes me nuts. I wish that like a regular season loss in November didn't make me depressed for a full day.
Well, it's just because at the end of the season, you're like, man, if we just had one of those 2 fucking games where we just mailed it in, we'd be in the playoffs. That's why.
It's true. I mean, and I'll say this, Oilers fans, like, we are nuts, and I don't think we recognize how spoiled we are right now to have, on any night, we have the 2 best players in the world, and there's maybe 2 or 3 other guys who would be in that conversation, and again, depending on the night, and it's going to be 10 years from now, I shudder to think what our lives are going to be like without those.
A lot of aches and pains. Speaking as a 51-year-old.
We've been there.
Well, let me stick to TV real quick here. I don't know if Maddie's got a few more questions or not, but what are you binge watching? Besides, we're talking sports and stuff. Of course, you're always going to watch sports, but what are you binge watching lately?
Dude, I'm all in on Landman.
I've heard that's great.
Dude,
I
Billy
haven't heard
Bob
of it,
Thornton.
no.
So I've realized that anything Billy Bob Thornton is in,
yeah,
I love hearing him speak words. And so it's by Taylor Sheridan. So he did Yellowstone, which is obviously, and then all the spinoffs, and he has a formula. So like, there's always going to be the crazy woman. He always does this. And then like this like main dude who's just like rough around the edges that every guy wants to be. And he followed the script to a T. It's about like an oil man in Texas, but yeah, it's just Billy Bob Thornton. So I love that. I won't lie. Like I probably watch every true crime documentary the day it comes out, which I don't know why. Yeah. Like,
it's so intriguing and like, what? Like these people exist, man. Like you could be just going to grab groceries and suddenly you're in somebody's fucking basement locked up with like a rag in your mouth,
It's how many times I've never heard the story when it was happening. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's this thing in New England and this craziest story. And it's like, how did I not know that was happening?
Exactly.
I'm just so shut off. But yeah, it's so I'm a sucker for true crime as well. I won't lie.
So let's stay in the entertainment vein here. If you're on a desert island and you had to choose one celebrity to be stranded there with you, who would it be? Would it be Billy Bob Thornton?
No.
Billy Bob Thornton would be like the guy reading your GSP, in your car. That'd be wild.
I don't know. I can't answer that question. That's like, because I don't know. Like realistically, I'm stuck on a desert island. Is it for like I want to have a good conversation?
I don't know. What do you want? What do you want out of this person?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that one because I have like my real answers, but I'm not going there.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, then let's shift a little bit to if you were to make a super group, not necessarily country,
Ooh.
whatever, or maybe you do everything. I don't know.
Mm.
You would be lead. Who else would be in it in the group?
Oh, I love this question.
Oh, that's such a good question.
Mandy, we need
Okay,
to do this more often. This is a great question. I love this.
Joe
Yeah.
Perry.
Okay.
Funny because I see a lot of lists of like greatest guitar players and sometimes even American guitar players, and I cannot believe how often he's overlooked.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a massive like Aerosmith. I think is the best band of all time.
Yeah.
I will
Mm.
say that.
I'm kind of with you on that.
Mm.
One of the best. Yeah. And
So
the
sick.
longevity
Well,
of,
yes, absolutely the longevity, the stylistic, like that's one thing I will say is like the full band and what they put into like instrumentation on every record. Like there's
yeah.
blues themes on these like pop rock records, and it was, and I don't know, I think some of the songwriting is just some of the best I've ever heard. And then for me as a vocalist, I'm not even
Mm.
going to sing. How about that? I'm going to do backup vocalist, and I'm putting
Okay.
Steven Tyler as the singer because
Okay.
I can't do raspy. I can't do grit in my voice. It just sounds like I'm sick or I'm
Mm.
about to throw up.
Right.
So I have a very like clean vocal, and so guys with like him who have rasp but also way better range than me somehow, like they make me so frustrated. But I think he has the best voice ever. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Oh, bass player. What's his name? Matt Freeman from Rancid. Do you guys know the band Rancid at all?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude, craziest bass player.
Yeah.
Craziest bass player. Um, and then drums. That's a Tommy Lee. Because I don't even know if he's
Tough.
that good. He just you got this goes back to how
Star
we
on my
started.
hand for Tommy Lee, man.
There
Fucking,
you
that's
go.
the
Hey.
reason I'm a drummer is Tommy Lee and Motley Crue. Like,
Because he's just the coolest, and like I'm sure he's a good, decent enough drummer, but I don't know, man. I think that guy is one of the coolest humans of all time. I'll tell a little story. So this is gonna sound like I'm bragging, but it's not. I just have a personal connection to someone who I think I'm on. Yeah. Anyways, who throw like Dead Mouse, the DJ throws a party every year.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
And so I know someone very close to him. So I get an invite. Everyone's like, that's so cool. I'm like, it is cool, but not really. Like, no one talks to you. Like, there's so many people there. You're just in your own group anyway. So I talk to the same people every year I go to this party. But one year, it was in late August, and I want to say Motley Crue's playing Toronto within a couple days. And I remember just talking to my friend, and down the steps into the backyard comes Tommy Lee. And I didn't talk to him, didn't even go up to him. So I'm not going to try and even say that I hung out with the guy. But to be at a party that he was at that's a lifetime moment for me.
it's
And
crazy, right?
yeah,
Some of some of these people, the presence that they have
bingo, dude. It's
is
the presence.
just
Just when they
Yeah.
walk in the room,
feel it.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And I do think that goes back to the era because there was a mystery there. There were like, nowadays, if you're a rock star, people are going to try their hardest to make you not one, I think. So he's from an era where there's a magic when he walks in the room 100%.
It's a Wonka ticket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bingo. There you go.
Yeah, there's something to that area. We talk about this a lot too, where sometimes it was like they could create a persona much like you do, but without anyone ever finding out the truth. So back in the day, before we had
Sure.
social media and everything, you could be whoever you want and no one would know any different. But now it's almost dangerous to create something that's not authentic, like you said, because you'll get busted.
It's true. Yeah. And like, you're right though, like stage names, right? Like the idea that someone's name be clearly not their real name it's a cool thing though. And I remember like, that is the era I grew up in. There's a band called AFI that I was obsessed with, and the singer was Davey Havoc, and
Davey
he
Havoc.
still
Yeah.
goes by Davey Havoc. And nowadays that would be kind of ridiculous. I don't know, but I think that was better back then when you could do that.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. What's the plan for you for the rest of the day?
Oh my goodness, I have to shovel the walks. It is that time of year.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Is it already full on snow there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
us
You know
too.
what?
You're
Oh
the
my
lucky
really?
one,
God.
Todd.
I see. I'm just so insulated here. Not that I'm rubbing it in a bit, but Vancouver just
Hmm.
doesn't get that shit. Like occasionally we'll get a dump, but it's gone so fast, right? Like
Yeah.
Nice.
rains too
And
much.
I spent when I was actually recording an album after I was in stereos, and we spent a month and a half almost in Vancouver
Oh yeah.
over November and almost up to Christmas. And I'll tell you what, man, for like 2, 3 weeks, I was so happy because it was
Yeah.
6 to 11 every day. And back
Nice.
in Alberta, it was getting gnarly. I will
Yeah.
say this, by week 3 and 4, where we had no sunshine, I was losing
Mm.
how happy I was about that. And that's one thing about Edmonton. Listen, I'm self-aware enough about Edmonton. I've lived in Toronto. I've lived in Calgary. I've lived in some beautiful cities. I love Edmonton. I hate the cold. I hate it. And I hate it more every year, which is crazy.
Mm.
But we get a lot of sunny days in the especially throughout the winter, and that is a small silver lining. But yeah, -40 can I will never be okay with that. I hate
Yeah.
It's a bit rough. I'm kind of our weather's similar to you. I'm in Northern Ontario, so yeah,
it. Okay.
we have snow. Yeah, it's regularly -30, but we get sun, and that's something.
Yeah, small win.
Yeah.
At least when you look out the window, I think it might have even just a minuscule effect on your mood. See that
But
sunlight.
you're right though, man. Like sad seasonal affective disorder
Yeah,
is a
it's a thing.
fucking real thing, man. Like you can
100%.
truly, like for
100%.
me personally, I don't give a shit. It can be as dark as whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but so it will affect people to the point like they'll like just be dead inside almost. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's very real. And
Yeah.
Albertans definitely
Oh,
feel
Vancouver.
Yeah.
that.
Pat,
I
tell
love
us what you have coming up for Delta Suite in terms of recording new music, shows, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I will be putting out new music in the first couple months of the new year.
Mm,
And so I'm looking very forward to that. I'm going to do a little bit of a sound shift, and it kind of ties into what we were talking about. I'm really trying to make something that just feels a little bit more nostalgic. And
Okay.
so we talked about the good and the bad about how we release music nowadays. And so I do miss making albums and making them tell a full story. I think one of the big benefits, and they do exist, is that from one song to the next, and that can be 3 or 4 months apart, I can tell a different story. I can give a completely different mood. I do all my own single art. I can make it,
mm.
look completely different from the last, and I do enjoy that. I think that
Nice.
it keeps me constantly creative. And whereas before, you'd put a couple of years of your life into one thing, and then it has to live for the next year or two, and that's just not the
Right.
case anymore. And um, although I miss some of that, I do think that it's cool that I can do that. So I'm going to be putting out music in the new year. And I just found out I'm up for a first ballot nominee for 4 of the Country Music Alberta Awards. So that's
Nice.
exciting. In my first year doing this, I'm very happy about
Nice.
that. And yeah, it's going to be, I'm hoping to just have a busy summer. I want to play as much as possible. I will be playing in Toronto at the end of February. And that's, rolling into the new year, hopefully just playing more live and meeting more people,
Cool.
making more music.
Cool. Where are you making the music, by the way? Is it in Alberta, or you come to Vancouver again, or
Uh,
what?
no, I actually go out to a place called Ayr, Ontario. It's kind of in the
Oh,
middle of nowhere. I love it though. It's a gorgeous little town. And my producer, Sean Moore, lives out there. And I won't lie, when I go into Toronto, I very rarely go into Toronto. I rent a car and then head out towards where he lives and stay in a motel out in the middle of nowhere, which is how I like it.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, nobody really wants to be in Toronto, so
No.
Yeah, try telling that to people who live in Toronto.
they're fucking lying to themselves.
They're a special breed.
I will.
All of our Toronto viewers have dropped off the needle, but whatever.
Hey man, I get it. I lived in Toronto in my 20s when Stereos was happening, and oh
Yeah,
my goodness, was it an awesome city
Mm,
to live in my 20s.
yeah.
That was
exactly. Yeah.
a long
Yeah.
time ago, and I have no desire.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a time and place for big city living. And I think you're right. When you're into the party scene, when you're younger,
20s.
it's all good. When you're 50, maybe not quite as fun, but that's
Yeah,
just my.
no, I'm. So I was actually last week. I was I was recording out in Ayr, Ontario, and so I spent 5 days out there, middle of nowhere, slow, and then on the last night of my trip, I had to go into Toronto because I had a show on Queen Street. And the second I got into Toronto and the traffic, I was in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Like it was just so remarkably insane that, yeah, that's why I don't do it unless I have to, and I have to do it again at the end of February. But I do love Toronto. I will say this: it has been a second home for Stereos, and then by extension, me now. Like that city and its fans for what I do for music is like up there with Edmonton, like neck and neck. So I do appreciate. I will always have a soft spot for Toronto.
Yeah.
For that respect, just not their sports teams.
No, they
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Jays are okay. Jays are okay.
Okay. Pat, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great to chat with you. We'll definitely be following along on your journey. Excited for your new music to come out in the new year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I
Thank you,
appreciate
man.
it anytime.
Nice to meet you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.